Greetings. Welcome to another Citizen Shane address. I know I'm not wearing my top hat, but it's 100 degrees outside. What do you want? I can't be styling all the time. I have my studio microphone set up properly this time. President Obama made in my opinion, recently, he made a very common sense statement about gun rights. I want to discuss it because I think it's really important we don't get caught into that feedback loop again that we've been in for such a long time. Can you roll the video?
My biggest frustration so far is the fact that this society has not been willing to take some basic steps to keep guns out of the hands of people who can do just unbelievable damage. And it happens now once a week. And it's a one-day story. There's no place else like this. Our levels of gun violence are off the charts. There's no advanced, developed country on earth that would put up with this. Now, we have a different tradition. We have a Second Amendment. We have historically respected gun rights. I respect gun rights. But the idea that, for example, we couldn't even get a background check bill in to make sure that if you're going to buy a weapon, you have to actually go through a fairly rigorous process so that we know who you are, so that you can't just walk up to a store and buy a semi-automatic weapon. It makes no sense. And I don't know if anybody saw the brief press conference from the father of the young man who had been killed at Santa Barbara. And as a father myself, I could not understand the pain he must be going through. And just the primal scream that he gave out. Why aren't we doing something about this? The only thing that's going to change is public opinion. If public opinion does not demand change in Congress, it will not change. I've initiated over 20 executive actions to try to tighten up some of the rules and the laws. But the bottom line is that we don't have enough tools right now to really make as big of a dent as we need to. And most members of Congress, and I have to say to some degree this is bipartisan.
All right. So before I start talking, I think it's important that I shouldn't have to qualify, but in today's society, I know that I need to. What I'm about to say, this is coming from a staunch defender of the Second Amendment. And I'm talking about to the point that I believe it was actually written for, which is to fire on the government, not to fire on our children or each other, to actually defend ourselves from tyranny, from tangible tyranny that is occurring, that is reckless, and for which there is no other defense. If those are the conditions, have at it. Get out your assault weapons, march on the Capitol. I'll be there with you, okay? But you can have that. But the Second Amendment is not for shooting kids. And going into classrooms with automatic weapons is not what it's for. Period. That's common sense. We know that. If felons don't get the right to carry arms, they lose their voting right. They lose the ability to, get social services too. You can't get social services if you're a felon. And so, look, rights come with responsibility. For a president who I don't agree with a lot of his policies, that doesn't mean everything he says is wrong. I mean, imagine if people treated you that way. Imagine if you said one thing a person disagreed with, and automatically that meant everything you said from that point forward people would disagree with you because you were you. That's not fair. That doesn't leave people the opportunity to be objective, and even-minded. And this is what I'm attempting to do, because I think there's too much rhetoric on both sides, okay? Because the other one has rhetoric that's so crazy, you have to come up with even crazier rhetoric to counteract it. And it's counterproductive, and it's endangering us. It's why things get stalled at the highest levels of government, is because of this deadlock mindset. That being said, like I mentioned, I don't agree with a lot of what President Obama has done, just like I haven't agreed with the actions of other past presidents. But just listen to the words the guy is saying. Forget who he is. Just even forget what his name is for just the 2 minutes that the video is going on or whatever, that part of the video. Just forget who he is. Listen to what he's saying. Close your eyes if you have to. I'm serious. Close your eyes. Just pretend, just imagine a blank screen or whatever, and just listen, evaluate the words for their own merit, on their own, what their value is. I think he has a point, guys, about, the death of children becoming a norm. He kind of has a point. Like in other, some countries, heavy censorship of the press has become the norm. That's not good. That's why we have the Second Amendment. That's what it's there is for scenarios like that, not to go shoot up schools, obviously. Okay? So, yeah, that's not good when the dying children becomes the norm, ever, but really, in any society, unless you have like just massive overpopulation. And then it's supposed to be the elderly, right? Which is not happening. We got ourselves into that one already. And that's not what guns are for either, just for the record. So look, dude, he has a point. And he's also right that, we do need to take, and I'm doing my part, Mr. Obama. I'm taking some time to reflect and do some soul searching about this subject. Because, it's not just rootin' tootin' whipping coyote and, or nothing. It doesn't have to be that way, people. Yeehaw! Like shooting your guns in the air and having like, a million clips in, magazine, in your clip or whatever. It doesn't, or nothing. That's a false dichotomy. All right. It's not that way. I personally believe that every state should have to abide by the Second Amendment to its fullest extent, meaning no limitations. Like states shouldn't be allowed, in my personal humble opinion, states shouldn't be allowed to impose greater regulations on anything having to do with those first few amendments of the Constitution. Like they're very important to me. Okay, the first 10 especially are very important. I don't want some state, for instance, modifying the Fourth Amendment to say, well, we want to give our police extra power, so let's allow them, or the third one, let's allow them to shack up with you and your family when they need lodging, because they don't get paid. The public employees unions will tell you they don't get paid enough. So sometimes they might need a place to live sometimes. So you have to let police in your house for shelter. And while you're at it, they could look through your stuff. No. That's why we ratified the Constitution, so that stuff wouldn't happen. States ratified the Constitution. Representatives from states ratified the Constitution, so that stuff wouldn't happen. Okay, so they don't get to go back and like, I don't know. This is going to sound anti-democratic or whatever, or anti-constitutional, but they don't get to go around and then circumvent those things, which we have determined to be essential for liberty on their own. I'm sorry. So in my personal humble opinion, I know it's not the way it is, but I believe every state should not be able to modify or make stricter the tenets of our Bill of Rights. It's what, if you fuck with the Bill of Rights, it won't be a Bill of Rights anymore. That's what happens. I'm telling you guys, the only reason we have everything we have right now in this kind of a world, in this kind of an economy, and this, it's not because of capitalism, even though I'm a staunch advocate for that too. It's not because of capitalism. It really is because of the Constitution. Because you can have capitalism and authoritarianism kind of at the same time, but you can't have the Constitution we have and authoritarianism at the same time. And maybe we even need to add stuff to the Constitution. It needs to evolve a little bit, but we definitely can't take away the things that were there that are essential for our liberty. Nobody's debating that the Bill of Rights is essential for our liberty. Every state should adopt exactly that then. And maybe other things, but not, making the things that are there less strict if you look at it that way. Can't relax free speech, basically. You can't relax somebody's right to free speech. Sorry. At the same time, it's clear to me there are certain people who are not going to use firearms for their intended purpose. Okay? Call it sport, whatever. I feel you're entitled to shoot guns for fun. I don't have a problem with that. As long as it's not at people. Okay? That's not a sport. All right, so we can all agree, this is the soul searching you have to do now. We can all agree there are certain people who shouldn't have firearms, at least for a period of time. That's something I feel like maybe we don't have to decide on a national level. That's my conclusion from the soul searching. Really, is that there's no way we can all get together and agree on exactly like what intensity of what psychological. We're not all psychologists, so neither are our representatives. That's the problem. They're not experts in anything but being fucking politicians. That's the problem too here. With a lot of other things as well. So but we can't all agree on how insane you have to be to not own a gun. Like you can have bipolar, doesn't mean you're going to shoot everyone. Some people think I'm bipolar or whatever or hyperactive. I'm a very like just today I went to go get a prescription from the pharmacy, and I don't usually brag. I don't ever brag about things I do for others, but I happen to be on camera right now. We're talking about being a good person, not being labeled things. There was an old lady, like, I saw her pushing this cart up, and she looked like she was doing okay, and she just, like, asked me, she's like, could you just bring the cart up the rest of the way, basically? And I'm like, yeah, sure, like, no problem. And she told me she just had knee surgery. I'm like, damn, that sucks. I told her a little bit I had a problem with my knee. And anyway, I said, hey, I'll get the door for you, too, just get in the car, and, blah, blah, and I took her the cart up and stuff. Just, it's important to be nice to people, all right? I'm just saying. I may come off a certain way on camera or even in person, maybe, but I have a good heart. So like, I'm not the kind of person who wants to harm other people. I don't understand the kind of person that wants to harm other people because I can't, because I'm not one of them. I don't have that understanding in my mind. I frankly don't want to because I think it's evil. All right. I don't want to understand it, but I know that there are other people who do. Let the experts handle it. Now, believing that the Second Amendment is there for you to effectively shoot the government if they overreach, okay, that doesn't make you crazy. It makes you sane. Because the moment you start trusting any entity, unconditionally, you've just given up your volition, your ability to choose in your mind, okay? A lot of organizations would like it if you didn't have that ability. It would make things a lot easier. You'd only have to buy one product. You only have to believe in one side of the story, okay? Luckily, we're smarter than them, at least by a little bit. Even at this point, still, we have a little bit going for us up there, a little bit more than what they think. And it's very important that we maintain that and we remain educated and we get more educated because there's always something new to learn. Any subject can benefit by having any issue can benefit by having more educated individuals participating in the discussion. Not to pat myself on the back, but it's what I'm trying to do here. Share some of what I know and what I believe with you. Take the beliefs for what they're worth and what you think they're worth, but absorb the knowledge, okay? Knowledge and beliefs are two different things. Try to make an effort to recognize knowledge and fact for what that is. Don't let the people creating the rhetoric try to confuse you, okay? Because that is their easiest in to getting into your mind and messing with the knobs is to try and get you to confuse fact and belief, okay? Somebody's always lying when rhetoric is the only voice speaking. Quote of the day.